This is California Edition. I'm Brad Pomerantz. Thank you for joining us. Our guest, Sam Farr, member of the United States Congress representing the state of California. Sir, we thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Brad.
I want to speak with you about an issue that is very important to many Californians, and that's immigration reform. We know that your friends in the Senate have been working diligently to create a comprehensive bill. What's happening with your friends in the House?
Well, that's the big question. What's happening with our friends in the House, and particularly with our friends from California, particularly on the Republican side?
Right.
Because California is an interesting state. It's the one to benefit most from comprehensive immigration reform. And my district has the most number of undocumented farm workers in the United States.
And let's talk about that, because there is no doubt that when you look at the numbers in California, most of the farm workers, despite the fact there are special visa programs, are undocumented. As part of the Gang of Eight bill that we know, there is a special provision dealing with farm worker visas working through the Secretary of Agriculture. But when we look at the House side, and I believe that they are looking at a guest worker program, but would it look at the farm worker side?
Well, it'll have to, because California is the #1 ag state. It's what we produce is the healthy foods, all of the fresh fruits and vegetables.
Or the salad bowl of the nation.
Salad bowl of the nation.
So where do we go, though? Because look, there is a tremendous fear for supporters of immigration reform that a bill will get out of the Senate, it will be comprehensive, and it will move to the House and die.
The only bills that have passed in the last 2 years have been the Senate bills that have been brought to the House. You're right, they die on action, but then there's some conference committee established, and they end up in conference adopting most of the Senate provisions. So I think the pressure will be on, particularly our Republicans from California, whose districts, business interests, the farm, the ag, the farmers, the growers. We have an alliance between the farm workers and the farmers. This hasn't ever done before, for immigration. We have an alliance between the restaurant and restaurant employees. We have alliance between, it's labor and management in every category.
But is the pressure dramatic enough on the 15 remaining members of Congress from the Republican Party to buck what may be a very powerful lobbying effort amongst anti-immigration reform advocates?
The anti-immigration reform advocates make a lot of noise, but they have no votes. They have no votes. They just threaten and they scream, but they don't have, there's not a politic there.
And then if you think about your Republican friends that are not representing California, many of them, their districts are so, I'll just use the word gerrymandered, that they don't have any immigration reform advocates in their midst. I mean, very small minority populations, very small immigrant populations. It's not an issue that's important to them.
Well, one of the nice things about your program is that you're doing these interviews. Now remember, our contracts are up for renewal every 2 years.
They are.
It's not the leadership in Washington of your party. It's not the President of the United States. It's not the special interest groups that controls whether you get reelected. It's only the voters in your district. So you have to be loyal to the voters in your district, and that's why in this form of democracy that we have, it's really a bottoms up, and that is that if the people, the constituents, the workers, the employers, and I believe in California, it's in every district, care enough about immigration reform, then the entire California delegation will have to support it or they won't get reelected.
But what about outside California? That's the challenge. There are 15 Republicans that represent California who in the Congress, but beyond that, there are a lot of other Republicans.
Well, if California Republicans lead, so will others. You get legislators from like kinds of states, of Florida, New York, Illinois, Ohio, all the big states who have the same interests. They'll come along, and you don't need all the Democrats or all the Republicans. You need enough of each.
He's Sam Farr. I'm Brad Pomerantz. You're watching California Edition.